This is what brands can learn from politicians, from the world of politics. If you don't control the narrative, we hear that all the time, but if you don't fill the space, and somebody else will. This is what we're going to learn from the political sphere. This is the third part of 3 videos that I've made available during the seasonal period. So I hope you're having a good break, whatever it is you're doing. So I'm creating content over here on Serena's Playbook to help you as a brand, as an entrepreneur, somebody building a business and a brand in public, to level up your strategic thinking. I have more than 20 years in comms and media. I'm a chartered public relations practitioner, and I'm in my post-grad final year, research year for systems thinking, and I'm bringing all of my strategic know-how here to help you really level up, especially when it comes to your reputation, management, your crisis comms. So in politics, and I know this a lot because I work in political spheres and I have a politics and media commentary channel. In politics, empty space really is dangerous. People will fill it. Opponents will fill it. They will define the story for you. If you've ever seen Prime Minister's Questions, if you've ever seen the antics of politicians in the Commons, you know that when the government and there's sort of front bench ministers in the UK sort of parliamentary system, when they don't speak clearly on things, the shadow, sort of the opposition, they will fill the gap with their questions, and they will already load up their questions with a lot of data that the government will not provide, or if they're not providing, right? You've got to be clear. You've got to use that opportunity. In part 1 of this 3-part series, if you like, I talked about how you should use an opportunity, even if it's one where, one of your brand risks has been realized, use it as an opportunity to tell your story. Don't get squeamish about it. I know it can feel quite overwhelming, but that's why your risk readiness and reputation design is really important. You can check out zone 3 of my 7 zones, strategic zones, and there's zone 3 playlist. There's a playlist for each one of my zones, so you can check that out. Rumors will always fill vacuums, right? Faster than facts, we know this. I talk and train on media literacy, and we know this. It's really quite tricky for citizens, for users of these devices, of our devices, to know if they are sort of getting accurate information. That's why I'm a ground news affiliate. I don't have links available here. They're available on my news and commentary channel. But that's why I'm a ground news affiliate, because you see, these kinds of websites, what they're sort of great at doing is they'll aggregate news from across the sort of global news landscape, and it'll provide you with a breakdown of who actually owns that sort of news media corporation, and who, where is this outlet in terms of the political spectrum, where is this story in terms of the political spectrum, and also how high it is in factuality, and if it's low in factuality, beware. Now, we don't have that kind of a system available to us anytime that we are consuming any kind of information. So we know rumors will fill vacuums faster than facts will. And they kind of, like, when people create narratives for you, those narratives harden pretty quickly. They become quite permanent. And it's unfortunate, because what happens when a vacuum is left is that even when the truth comes out, even when you clarify in the end, what's happened is people have already chosen to get quite familiar with the untruth, or what they thought was going on, and they've sort of firmed their opinions on it. And that's most definitely what you want to avoid, that kind of hardening against you and against your brand. So that's why you really must define what you want to say, how you want to say it early on. Don't allow others to invent this for you. If you don't explain any decision or any move that you've made, people will assume the worst. I talked about that in part 1 and part 2. So you must narrate your own moves. You must explain decisions in real time. We have so many mechanisms to do this. And I'm going to leave you here with one solution, one way to have this ready. Now, obviously, you will go to my Zone 3 playlist, Risk Readiness and Reputation Design, or you will check out my 5 Days of PR playlist, and you will begin to build a toolkit, if you like, to be prepared. But let me just give you a quick system to protect yourself from allowing for an empty space to take hold of your brand's reputation. Outline the top 3 risks. Here's where you need to do a little bit of writing or note taking. Outline the top 3 risks to your brand and to your business. Write them down, write it out. Remember, there is that link to your brain. I don't know what, can't recall the neurological exact sort of process that takes place, but I know it helps me to write things down. Okay, I know that it's helping me and my brain and how it works. So write these 3 risks down. How are you going to communicate, like have a holding line, a statement for each one of those risks? So should the risk be realized, how are you going to respond? If your audience, the majority of your customers are on, I don't know, Etsy or Instagram or YouTube or elsewhere, what will your caption, what will your statement look like? So you need to draft 1, 2, 3 statements for each one of your risks and tailor them to the primary platforms that you use. If it's X, tailor it to that. That's the first thing you need to do, and return to it on a monthly basis with your inner circle who knows who know the in and outs of your business. And make sure that you've got to ensure that you are keeping in mind all of your stakeholders and how you would need to communicate with all of your stakeholders, not just one, not just 2, but all of them. And then you would actually find that not only are you going to tailor your statements, your holding lines for each one of the channels, but also for each one of your stakeholders. Put it all in a Google Doc. You're ready. So if a risk is realized, if something happens, or if something happens that's not exactly like one of those risks, you've still done some prep. A lot of the time that we get overwhelmed and make poor decisions is because we've not done the prep. But if you've done some prep, and even if it's not exact, you've kind of built a process. You've already connected those dots, and it's a familiar process, and you could easily do this on the spot when it's needed. You'll be far less overwhelmed. And that's what you want to avoid, the overwhelm that can then cause you to say nothing or say the wrong thing. Remember, narratives can get filled by your opponents or by the rumor mill if you allow there to be too much space, ambiguity, and confusion. So fill your narrative early, be specific, be intentional, and don't let other people tell your story. And if you like this kind of content, then please do subscribe. There'll be a video every Monday as usual. Not there is a video every Monday as usual, and additional bits of content during the seasonal period. So I hope you're having a wonderful time, and do subscribe and do all those wonderful things, and I'll catch you in the next one.